Hey guys, welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine, and this is your daily show. I'm your host Khalid Moedin. This is the show where we talk about all the amazing cricket talking points that we can think of. I mean, there's quite a few things that has happened, obviously, so far, and we're going to talk about it all. But the main topic of this conversation, of course, is going to be Pakistan and what Mark Boucher said in his press conference. So before we get going, guys, you know what you got to do. Please subscribe to this channel, click that notification bell for all future videos. My mouse just went flat on me, so I'm going to be using the trackpad on my computer to actually click around here. So if you see my arm moving weird positions, you know what I'm trying to do. I think I must be open and honest with everybody that is on the show. So let's get into it. And to the guys that are going to tune in right now, there's a super chat available for you guys to get involved in. There is a $sign on the bottom right hand corner of the live chat where you can get involved and come support us. We also have a Patreon available. The Patreon link is in the description as well as in the live chat, where you can become a Patreon and obviously support us and come along with us on this journey. There are different tiers, of course. You can become a fan, you can become a super fan, and you can become a fanatic. So you have different tiers and you will get different benefits according to what you sign up for. So without further ado, let's get into the Boucher press conference. I'm going to bring on one of my closest friends right now, Aditya, onto the show. Welcome to the show, buddy. Love the top. I enjoy watching India. A lot of guys might not know that, but I do enjoy watching India play, especially when they play against other teams. And that's why I always enjoy the series against India, unless we're playing in India. But let's get into it. Let's get into this particular chat. You went to the Boucher press conference. Now, I watched it back after you obviously finished with it, and you sent in your piece. You guys can go check that piece on cricketfanaticsmag.com as well. It was an excellent piece that you did. I see that there's a comment over here. Werner saying he was impressed with the questions that were asked today. It covered a wide range of topics from Pakistan tour to captaincy to Jacques Kallis, and that's exactly what happened. So let's get into it, Aditya. Let's play the first clip. I think that the most fitting clip to start with is Boucher talking about having to put on a show. So now, obviously, South Africa have not been in Pakistan since 2007. So it's going to be an interesting things for Pakistan as well, who haven't had an international cricket there for a long time. So to have a big powerhouse like South Africa come in there, I'll call ourselves a powerhouse still, to come over there in Pakistan and play some competitive cricket, it's going to be very interesting for them to be able to see that. As you guys know, here are the Pakistan fixtures. We've got the starting test will be in Karachi, where me and Aditya spoke about before. We spoke a little bit about the conditions there, that it will be more conducive for batting. It will be a little bit more flatter over there in Karachi. And obviously Rawalpindi, it seems to be a little bit more conducive for pace. But according to Boucher, he spoke about the conditions as well, which we'll get into later on the show. But let's first start with a clip where Boucher speaks about the putting on a show against Pakistan.
Look, from playing cricket there, I mean, it's tough cricket. It's different to the other subcontinent countries that you go to. Usually when you go to India, the ball turns a lot there. Pakistan, we're not used to the ball. Well, we haven't really been in games there where the ball's turned a lot. It's conducive to fast bowling, actually. They're very flat, and that's why you'll probably see that guys will go with pace a lot. Reverse swing was very big in those days. I know that the rules and regulations are a lot tighter nowadays for the ball and getting the ball to reverse. So, yeah, I think I don't know if we're going to see too much of that. As a place, the last tour that we went on there, we weren't really allowed out the hotel. So I don't see this being any different to that subcontinent. As people who've been there before will know that you don't get out the hotel a lot as well. So it'll probably be an easier lockdown than what you're used to. But yeah, I think the whole sort of message that, from me to the team is that cricket hasn't been played in Pakistan in quite some time. And it's been missed in that country. There probably won't be crowds around, but I know that there'll be a big hype of a big country coming to play cricket in the country once again. I think we got to buy into that and certainly put on a good show for everyone in Pakistan as well.
Yeah, so I saw a comment on on the piece that you wrote. Of course, Aditya, and he said, "Why are South Africa trying to put on a show? This is not acting. Let's just go out there and perform." So that's some of the people what they're talking about. Interesting facts that he spoke about there, that it's more conducive actually to pace bowling. He also mentioned about what you expect in India. Can you maybe just we spoke off air now before the show about some of the myths about Indian conditions, etc. People talk about subcontinents, all about spin bowling, blah 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 blah. It's conducive for spin, but not quite everywhere.
No, not at all. I think if you look at Mumbai's wicket, for example, it's right by the sea, and historically it has had something for the fast bowlers as well. And obviously that's not to say that the spinners won't come into play. They will come into play as the wicket deteriorates a bit. But I think we go back to the 2004 Test match, between Australia and India, which Australia actually won in Mumbai, and it was a treacherous wicket that they played on. So yeah, it's not like every wicket is going to fit that stereotype that we generally associate with India. And I suppose that's something that we should not go into that frame of mind when we're thinking about cricket in Pakistan as well, because those guys, like one of the reasons that Pakistan has had the battery of pace bowlers that they've had is because they've grown up on wickets where they've been able to showcase their skills, with fast bowling and with reverse swing and all that. So we can expect a good contest between fast bowlers and batsmen.
Yeah, because I mean, we heard Boucher talk about that and reverse bowling, etc., reverse swing bowling. It's something that's going to be quite tricky now in COVID. You can't really use spit to shine the ball, etc. No sandpapers allowed, so you can't really do anything with regards to that. We know back in the days they used to use things that certain methods to obviously scuff off the ball. There's so many eyes on the game, so many cameras all around that it's very difficult to scuff the ball illegally. So they're going to have to find other ways to do that. Luckily, KG, like Boucher said, is one of the guys that can give them some insights into that and reverse swing in the ball, etc. Let's talk about the conditions, because you just brought that up now, and it's good that you cleared up that myths. But this is what Boucher spoke about when it came to the conditions in Pakistan. It's very difficult, guys, for you guys to assess this holistically, as what Boucher is saying is 100% fact, because like he said, the last time they played there was like in 2007. So it's been a hell of a long time since then. But this is what he had to say about conditions.
No, absolutely, it'll be a big factor. I think they brought up playing in those conditions, and yes, I know what you say, that they haven't played a lot of international cricket there, but they played domestic cricket there. Their games are very suited to that sort of style of play. So even the places that they have been playing a lot of cricket in Dubai. That they'll also. Those conditions are pretty similar to Pakistan, maybe not as good batting wickets, but I do think that there's a massive advantage that they'll have in their own conditions. I see they've just come back from New Zealand now, which is sort of different conditions to what they're used to. But we have to wait and see. I mean, I watched a couple of games that Zimbabwe played there. The wickets did look pretty good. We're not too sure what conditions we're going to get when we get there. I'm expecting good cricket wickets, nice flat batting tracks. So I think it's going to be testing for the bowlers, and like I said, pace is always something that has really come out of the Pakistan teams when we've been there. They've got the ability to change a game very quickly, and I'm sure that's what we're going to be confronted with again.
Yeah, so that's excellent actually, because I would like to see our batsmen get some form, especially the likes of Aiden Markram, who's sorry. Someone that has to kind of get into the swing of things. He had a little clip about captaincy, which we'll talk about a little bit later, and I think that's someone that he's maybe alluding to. Is Aiden Markram and some of those guys to put up their hands and get some form before they get selected as captain. But it's interesting because it's true what he said about Pakistan and their own conditions, but to an extent, I don't think so, because I don't think he really wants to underestimate them, and I think that's the takeaway that I get from that particular clip.
Yeah, he doesn't want to underestimate them, and I think he has a fair point about a lot of players having played a lot of domestic cricket in Pakistan, even though international cricket wasn't really been played. So do they have an advantage? And I asked him that question. So and it's something that I thought would sort of be detrimental to Pakistan, because if if there's one thing that we've seen in Pakistani teams in recent years, is their ability to handle pressure. And the fact that international cricket is coming back to Pakistan after 10 years, and South Africa is the first high-profile country to be playing Test cricket in Pakistan after that period of time. So that comes with a certain degree of pressure. It's if Misbah ul Haq right now, he's being grilled by the PCB for their woeful performances in New Zealand. If South Africa puts on a show, and as Boucher said, and they end up beating Pakistan, I think it's not going to be pretty scenes for them, for the team or the coaching staff. So I think that's one angle of it. But with respect to conditions, I mean, Boucher is the veteran, he's the experienced man, and sure, he's not going to take Pakistan lightly for sure. But I think there's one other thing that I really like that he highlighted in the press conference, and that's a focus on process. And it's an underlying theme in virtually all of Boucher's press conferences. He talks a lot about technical adjustments. He talks a lot about the technique work that a lot of batsmen have been doing. And I think that's so important, because I think the public or the media or stakeholders in cricket don't mind if a team loses, but I think they also need to know what sort of work has gone on behind the scenes. And the fact that Boucher is putting the sort of emphasis that he is on that is quite heartening to see.
Because that ties in kind of with the Jacques Caller's comments, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But he had also a chat about captaincy. Now, this is something that I really thought was interesting, because what people don't know about Quinton de Kock is that Quinton de Kock speaks up when he's not happy. Quinton de Kock will never do something that he doesn't want to do. I've been at many training camps or many practice sessions to see Quinton de Kock. He does what he needs to do, and he does what he wants to do. He doesn't really interact too much with the people around him, really much. But now, obviously, he does talk when he needs to be. Like when he was Blitz captain, he did what he needed to do, and then he goes and he leaves. He does what he needs to do. He says what he wants to say when he needs to say it, and that's it. But that's what Quinton's about. He will never do something that he doesn't want to do. So that's why this particular clip is very interesting, because it gives us an insight into what their thought processes are with regards to captaincy.
Yeah, we had a very unsettled sort of test team, the guys who were still trying to find their feet. And I know that the difficulty in being a test captain, it's not as simple as just rocking up and saying, okay, fine, I'll do the job. There's a lot of other stuff that goes with the job, criticism, praise, and press conferences, all that type of stuff, which, certain individuals, they don't really enjoy that. But for me, you got to keep your place in the team as well. There's nothing worse than rocking up, you're the test captain, and all of a sudden people start talking about dropping you, or you're not good enough to be there and hold your own place in the team, as whether it's a bowler or a batter. So I think that is the big thing for me is waiting for one or two individuals to step up, sort of cement their place in the team. And then have a look at the leadership qualities of those individuals and say, okay, fine, we believe that you are the guy to run with this team for the next period of time. And then they also won't have that extra stress of actually performing as well as being a leader. Certain guys do, sometimes when you give them leadership, they do takes a bit of pressure off themselves as an individual, and they perform well. So we are sort of encouraging a lot of leaders to come through. You'll see on the field, there's a large sort of group or core of players that do a lot of talking. So I think at this stage, we're happy with Quinny to continue. As long as it doesn't get too much for him, then we'll certainly make a call and probably change that. But I'm happy with him at the moment. He's been very open and honest with us. And if it does start to affect him, he'll certainly open his mouth and come to me and tell me that he's either comfortable or not comfortable with something. So it is work in progress, but certainly, waiting for one or two individuals to really step up, cement their place, and then hopefully step into a leadership role.
Yeah, I know it seems like Boucher has a Pakistani cap on. I don't think it is. Let's talk about. I think the first part about that is interesting, because when he spoke about the test team being unsettled, what I like about this is it's not like football press conferences where there's a lot of mind games and things are said to kind of like throw off the opposition, etc. I don't think Boucher's there yet with his team to have those type of press conferences. Guess we have to wait and see until we play a test series against Australia, and then we'll maybe see some of the mind games coming into the game. But at the moment, what I like about it is he's very honest about the shortcomings of the team, and he's very open and honest about where they need to improve and where they need to go forward. It gives us as fans a good insight into what the thinking process is. So for him to admit that the team is a bit unsettled, that you have now a new captain, you're trying to get some stability, and being open and honest to say that because the ordinary answer for a coach would be, we back Quinton de Kock, he's our captain. And that would have been the normal thing to say. But what he's been very open and honest with is that Quinton de Kock is temporary. They're trying to bring some stability back in the test squad before they give someone else an opportunity, until that person finds their form, until that person puts up their hand. For you, Aditya, those particular comments about captains, do you like to hear that about what Boucher said? And also, who would you think he's talking about when he's talking about someone getting their stability and then maybe putting up their hand for captaincy?
Yeah, look, I think he was pretty forthright about the captaincy issue and the fact that the team was work in progress, and maybe that's not ideal, but that's the situation that they find themselves in, because Aiden Markram, was he not injured or was he not away from the game for whatever reason, he would be a starter in the playing 11, and ideally, and I think it's been said pretty frequently that he is a future Test captain for South Africa.
Yeah.
But now he finds himself in a position where he sort of needs to regain the confidence that he showed and the promise that he showed in the early part of his career, and get that going and show that consistency. With that said, and we've talked about it in previous discussions, with respect to having like a temporary captain, because what that does is that, like Boucher said, that the team the team was unsettled when he got it, but the question is that with a temporary captain, is the team any more settled? And now you're playing is that he was captaining Sri Lanka. Quinton de Kock was Test captain for Sri Lanka. He's captain for Pakistan. That's fine. 3 tests against Australia, that's a different ball game. And I feel like your most expressive sort of batsman in the team, just like a game changer at 5, is that, do you really want to put that burden on him? The job of temporary captain, because I look at the last series that South Africa and Australia played, which was the famous sandpaper gate series, and
yeah, the big round to play to get David Warner upset, eh?
Exactly.
You can't be saying those things now as captain.
And I think, I don't know if you watched that documentary, Crossing the Line, but
Yeah, I did.
like I look at that and I watched that entire series. Faf looked like the man in charge.
He was.
He looked like he was in total control of everything that was going on. Sure, they lost the first Test match in Durban, but there was never a hint of panic. There was no impulsive decision making. They just said that, look, you look at the press conference from that game. I think he was as relaxed as a captain you will see after losing a Test match. He said, this is where we need to improve, and this is what we're going to work on in the next Test match. And you look at the next Test match, obviously it was AB de Villiers who sealed it for them. And the following Test match was when all the carnage happened in Cape Town. And then du Plessis signed off with 100 in that last Test match. But, I look at that series, where there was so much chaos going on. And with Australia, it's a high-profile series. There's a lot of talk in the media. The cricket is obviously incredibly aggressive, incredibly competitive, and everyone needs to be firing on all cylinders. And my question is that I see Quinton de Kock as a bit of a reluctant captain, to be perfectly honest. And I think it would be fine in Pakistan, because it's a high-profile series, but you're still playing away from home. But with South Africa playing at home and playing against Australia at home after that series, after the previous series, which ended in the sort of acrimony that it did, do you really want Quinton de Kock to take that sort of burden? And will he be able to withstand it? Is my question. So, I mean, we can only hope for the best, but I think that's where I'm a bit hesitant.
Yeah, it's all valid points. I don't think that Quinton de Kock will take on a burden like that if he thinks it's going to affect him. I think that he needed a performance like he had against Australia. I mean, like he had against Sri Lanka, just to kind of wake him up in a way to say, hey, whoa, I need to focus also on my batting right now. I also have to think about myself here. I think he needed that so that he can have this break to just contemplate, think about his batting and get it right. I've never seen Quinton de Kock as a captain before. It was never something that I would have thought, but there are certain things that I like about him. I like his unpredictable. He's very unpredictable. I do think that he does read the game very well. And luckily, he still has Faf there available to him. Now, I do think that Sipakazi and the media team will manage this also well, because I know that Pakistan, Quinton de Kock is not a fan of necessarily doing the press conferences, etc. So if they really do need someone to take the pressure off them, they can still send Faf to a press conference and take the heat of everything. You saw how calm and collected he was when he was answering questions after he scored his 199. So he's still available for all of those things. But I think that Pakistan will be a nice final, not a final, but it will kind of teach us a lot about Quinton de Kock's captaincy, because it's foreign conditions. It's a fresh team still trying to find themselves. Can he put up his hand and say, look here, guys, I can lead as a captain with a bat? Because clearly that's one of the aspects that he needs to do. He doesn't really need to talk much. He needs to just show with his performances. He really did it really well behind the stumps. His wicket keeping was excellent. And I think the way he managed his bowlers was excellent too. A lot of people frowned and asked, why is he not bringing this person on? Why is he not bringing that person on? He brings those guys on at the right times, at the right periods, and they took wickets and they put pressure on Sri Lanka. Yes, he needs to learn that. Remember that also, any captain would struggle with this inexperienced bowling attack. They're also trying to figure out who bowls well together. You can only know that if you play a game. You can't do that in the nets. There's no way you can see how a person is putting on pressure on another person, etc. You can only do it by playing games. And having Rian Mulder back in the squad will do that to you. It will teach you a lot on that. But let's get into the next clip. And I think it's probably the headline of the whole show. It's talking about his... what I liked about this in particular is he made certain references to the media. And that's what I really enjoyed about this particular part. There's two parts of this video. You're going to see me probably flash on the screen and then flash off to the next scene, just because I couldn't combine them together because of technical reasons. Don't worry about that. Here's what he said about Jacques Kallis.
Yeah, look at it. There's a bit of pill to swallow. I mean, I know, Jacques has been working with guys on an individual basis, and unfortunately, mine's a tied me on my back. Sometimes you get messages passed down to say that this guy can't be selected to fulfill a role that you maybe want him involved in. You know, a lot of the media, you guys have been saying that Jacques is my mate and it's like a buddy selection. Yes, he is a mate of mine, but Jacques is also a very good cricketer that can add a lot of knowledge as well. So, you know, why wouldn't we want him in our setup? So for that reason, yes, it is a bit of pill to swallow. But now that the rules, and I mean, it's been well documented in the press through you guys, the rules have been changed a bit. So he is certainly someone that we would like to get back into a consultancy role. You know, I haven't had any major conversations with Jacques because he's in Sri Lanka now. But certainly, you know, over the next short period of time, if we can get him involved somewhere soon, maybe against Australia, then I think we must. And the reason being is because there are a lot of players who have spoken so highly of Jacques and the knowledge that he imparted onto them, albeit in a short period of time against England. So yes, you know, he is on my radar as trying to get him back involved in the Proteas, the setup. I just hope that we treat him with care as well. He's shown that he's got a lot of other opportunities in world cricket at the moment. So it'd be stupid not to try and hang on to him as long as we don't mess him around. Then I know Jacques would love to be working in South African cricket. And okay, first of all, I'm not going to speak on transformation. You can ask Max or Don about that. I just picked up that we are allowed to have white consultants. I picked it up from the media. He is a massive loss, and the reason being, and I said it before, is the fact that a lot of our batters were working with him, and then even during the off season, just having chats over Skype or over Zoom and stuff like that. I know he had a session with Temba Bavuma down in Cape Town, and Temba speaks very highly of him as well. There's a lot of knowledge that Jacques can pass on to not only Temba but all of our other batters as well. I mean, the guy's played over 150 Test matches for his country, so. The batting knowledge that he's got, along with a couple of other guys in this country, needs to be utilized. And the start was there, and then it was sort of taken away from the players. So, hopefully we can get him back and get that information to the players. It can only do them the world of good, speaking to a guy like that. If that answers your question.
So it's 100% clear here, Aditya, that batting consultant is what Jacques Kallis is. So at any point, they can probably employ him as a consultant to giving them some tips on various issues that they're having, doing little stints. I think England obviously played a lot more for him than what South Africa could offer him. What bothered me a little bit about it is that little piece that is kind of hidden within the press conferences where he said, as long as South Africa doesn't stuff him around. So it raises alarm bells for me to think, has South Africa been? Is that what happened? Did they not give him a proper offer? Did they not even offer him another offer to extend his contract as a batting consultant? Those are the questions that I would like answered. And I don't think that Boucher's the right guy to say that. I think Graham Smith is the guy to actually answer those questions. And I'd really actually like to talk to Graham in the future. Yes, Jacques can give a hell of a lot of insight into Test cricket and how to bat, and obviously experience like that is undeniable. You can't really buy that. It's incredible to think that. But I mean, to see Jacques Kallis in that dressing room, for me, it was really hurtful in England colours. From your perspective, when he was speaking about that in the press conference, particular, what were the first thoughts that were running through your head, or what is your opinion on that particular club?
So I think previously there was a general lack of clarity about who could be hired as consultants, and it appears as if Boucher was unclear also. And he said at some point at the conference that I learned through media reports that we actually can hire white consultants, and they have in Neil McKenzie. So I guess that confusion was there, and I'm sure that might have been there with Kallis as well. Kallis is not one to talk as much, so we don't know what was going on there. But I think his commitment to South African cricket was pretty evident. What Boucher said is that if during lockdown he was having Skype and Zoom sessions with batsmen, and he had a session with Temba Bavuma in Cape Town as well. So I think that tells you that he's committed to working towards improving South African cricket. But I think he's also the kind of individual who doesn't like a lot of off the field drama. I don't think he wants to be involved in that sort of stuff. And hopefully, with more clarity around and his contract with England only for one series, hopefully South Africa can bring him back, because it sure will need him against Australia, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I was a bit disappointed because I don't think he actually worked a lot. He had to leave the camp actually for a short period. And I don't think he actually got to work with the players as much as they would have liked. And that was a bit of a shame, because I think that guys like Zubair Hamza specifically mentioned that he didn't really get an opportunity to learn a lot from Jacques in the short space of time. It would have really been nice for him to get more insight from Jacques Kallis, especially on him, because he's struggling at the moment with playing the ball away from his body. Playing the pace bowlers consistently, when you're getting pace at that level consistently, I think Zubair struggled with that adjustment, because you're batting against three of the best batsmen in the world, bowlers in the world at the time, that are very accurate in their approach. And on a South African boundary wickets, it's a tough to ask. It's a tough task to ask for. And then with regards to Zubair Hamza, I mean, he played really well in India, so he seems to be very very good against spin. So I was really hoping that Jock Cullis could be in Pakistan, with a team, but unfortunately we don't have it. It's interesting to see whether Neil McKenzie will travel with the team or not. I'm not 100% sure on the coaching staff, etc., because he's a batting lead. He's available for any teams that need him. So whether it's the Proteas women, whether it's the East under 19s, whether it's the Proteas women's under 19 teams, any of the franchise teams that need him, he's available for anybody to bring him on for consulting. So when you're a batting lead, you kind of oversee all of that. So I don't know if batting consultants and batting leads are different, or batting coaches are different, etc. But that's the way it seems. So we've got a question for you over here, Aditya. Next, Aditya, what do you think about the future of Rassie van der Dussen with the Proteas in all formats?
Future superstar, and I think he has to be at least among the first names on the sheet, because you go back to the 2019 World Cup. He was playing. That was his first year in international cricket, and he looked like he was the most assured of the batting group. And there was something about him that just exuded a sense of confidence. I personally, I hadn't seen a lot of Rassie van der Dussen playing domestic cricket, but I felt a sense of confidence that he could be relied upon. He looks like he's played a lot of international cricket already, and he had a sense of his game. So I think it's only a matter of time before he proves his mettle in Test cricket as well. And I have no doubt that he will. He's a fantastic player.
Yeah, and he understands the opposition as well. He's played against them. He's played with some of the guys, so he understands the players within the Proteas setup a lot. So he can really give some insight into he understands their game, and he knows. I see Rassie van der Dussen is an adaptable player. He just needs to learn it at the international stage. When he gets used to the conditions on a lot better, and he gets to read it a lot better, and he learns how to do that international stuff and adapt his game. He's very good at adapting his game and turning it on, turning it off when he needs to, and playing that supportive role as well. So I think that he's the perfect number 3 in the ideal sense of the word. But I think that he still needs to obviously prove himself there as well, because we've got a lot of guys that are potentially going to knock on the door. I see a question about the quota system, when it's going to be removed. It's not going to be removed, so you can forget about that one. That isn't going to happen. So thanks a lot for everybody for tuning in. Don't forget to obviously like, comment, share, subscribe, click that notification bell for all future videos. We have available. You can become a Patreon today. The link is in the live chat. I will post it yet again, so you guys can just click on the link and follow and support us. You can become a patron today. If you guys haven't subscribed to the magazine yet, please do so. Download the link. We now over 1,000 subscribers. We're really growing quickly, so please join the party and read our amazing magazine that we have. It's digital, so it's free as well. You don't have to pay a cent. That's why we're asking you to become patrons, so you can obviously help us. And you can obviously help us produce better quality content in the future. Thanks a lot to everybody for tuning in. Like I said, don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell. Go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all your updates. We'll be doing a lot of updates with regards to the Pakistan tour. If you guys have a business and you're looking to make sales online, even if your business is offline, there's a free tutorial on this channel. Please go ahead and look there, and there's some descriptions. Just go read the description, guys. There's a lot of links for you guys to click on it to learn new things. Thanks a lot, Aditya, for coming on the show. Thanks a lot for actually attending the press conference for us. Thanks a lot to all the viewers. We'll see you guys very, very soon. Take care, everyone.